Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card, which I'm going to be calling a flip card. I've seen all sorts of names for it, but flip is to me the most logical name. You open it and the centre flips around. Okay, absolutely delightful card. I've made that one, which the design series paper is from Share What You Love, and the stamp set is Petal Palette. So I stuck to the same stamp set, same design. I have made one more. This one I use Crumb Cake as my base colour, and the design series paper is All My Love, but as you can see the design is all the same, and I'm going to do that again for the next one. The next one's a bit of a challenge though, because there's no real flower colour in it, and let me show you what I mean. I'm going to be using Mint Macaroon, and the designer series paper again is Share What You Love, and this is the floral design. Okay, so it's one of the special pearlised ones that Stampin' Up brought out to celebrate the 30th anniversary, which is pearl, but it's green flowers with green leaves. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but I'm sure it's going to work beautifully. So if I move these two out of the way, I will tell you the card pieces you're going to be needing. Right, so we're going to start with, now I have done this so that this finishes up as our normal size, which for UK is 5 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. I think for the US it'd be quite easy to just slice a bit off the top, I think is what you need to do, isn't it? But it's quite a straightforward one. Anyway, the card pieces. Mint Macaroon, this measures 5 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches, which is 14.6 by 17.1 centimetres. Then you will need 2 pieces of Whisper White, and no, sorry, 4 pieces of Whisper White, and they measure 1 3/4 inches by 5 5/8. Let me repeat that. 1 3/4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is 4.4 by 14.3 centimetres. And then you need 2 strips of designer series paper, and they measure 1 5/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 4.1 by 14 centimetres. Then you need either 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock that measure 3 inches by 3 inches, or 2 pieces that you have die cut using the Layering Ovals dies, framelit dies, and for the circles that is the die number 8. No, it's not, number 7. Okay, so they've been die cut with number 7, 2 of those. I've just done it to save a little bit of time. And also with these have been die cut, same dies, and that is, let me just read my book instead of telling you wrong again. Whispering White, oh, the Whisper White, that was number 7, and the DSP layer is number 7. Okay, so that's scallop 7 for that, straight 7 for that. Or if you want to do that all at the same time when you're doing your die cutting, you need 2 pieces of each that are 3 inches by 3 inches, or 7.5 by 7.5 centimetres. You will need quite a lot of scraps for your images, and I think that is probably it. So what I thought was, because we need a big shot there, we do all the painting, stamping and everything like that first. As I say, the stamp set for the images, I'm using Petal Palette, which is a 2-box set. So I'm going to be using the bird, the big flowers there, that little one. I have 3 of those, 2 of those, 1 of those. and the sentiment is this one: life is so much better with you in it. The dies that I will be using, she says, knocking something on the floor, are the Petals and More, which go with the petal palette. So I'll be using that one to cut out the big flowers, that one for little flowers, and that one for the bird. So I might as well take those now, mightn't I? I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing on the back of this. On the first card, I didn't do anything apart from putting 2 white panels for sentiments, whatever, but I wasn't happy with that. So on the next one, what I did, I put the panels on there, but I decorated the sides, but I still don't like that either. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do on this one. I might just leave it. It's a light enough colour that the sentiment can be written on anyway. So right, so let's stop talking and get some stamping done. And I'm using Memento because I am going to be colouring with Stampin' blends. Now, is this any good for anything? I think I can get a bird on there, can't I? Yes. Okay, so I need 2 birds. I'm only going to do one of each because I've obviously done everything beforehand. And the reason I chose this stamp set to use is because it is just so nice and easy to stamp and colour. There we go. I might as well use this one, mightn't I? Don't think you need it. That's right, I rejected this because I had a bit of, if you can see there, I had a bit of fluff on my stamp. So I had to reject it. But because I've already done mine, it's all ready, I can use this to show you what I did. So that was the result. Right, the colours I'm using. For my bird, I'm going to be using light and dark crumb cake. For the flowers, I'm going to be using light and dark soft sea foam. And for the leaves, I'm using light and dark old olive. Right, so let's do my bird first. As you know, I'm not much of a colourer, so I don't do anything fussy. You'll have to excuse me. I've had a cold for the last couple of weeks and it's really beginning to get the better of me, and now and again it catches my throat and I feel that I'm going to cough, which is the last thing that I want to do on a video. So just excuse me if I just have to swallow. Right, now what I do, once I've done that with the light, I just go over these bits with the dark and then round there, under his wing, up round his tummy and up to his throat, and then on the back of his head. And then I use the lighter one to blend that in. Okay, so that's all that I do on that. Put that to one side, he needs to be die cut. This one, the flowers are the soft sea foam, so I'll do the light first. And then just at the bottom, I'm going to add a bit of dark. And then go back in with the light. And then blend that in. Now the leaves on here are a bit of a challenge because they are so small. I just go over them totally and just try and add some lines. And then come back with the lighter one. And then that's it. So you need 3 of those. I think I'll do the leaves first. What I'll do is the leaves and the rose there. So just go over them with the light green first. Then come in with the dark. Whenever I do this, I do tend to go around the whole of the outside first. Leave the inside of the leaf as the lighter green. Obviously I would go round to all the, oh dear, I go round to all the leaves first, but I'm only doing a small section here. Okay, so that just blends that in. I'll bring it up close to you once I've done this little section so you can see. So okay, go over with the lighter colour first. The fact that this has got the very, very thick outlines makes it so much easier to do. None of this nervousness about going over edges. Right, now this, I normally do the sides and the bottom of each petal. Okay. Sides and the bottom. I always get myself confused when I come round to the opposite side. Yeah, because I'm doing the top, aren't I? Or hopefully nobody will notice. And then use the lighter one again. Just to blend it all in. With the soft sea foam, it's hardly noticeable at all. Okay, so let me rest that one on there as well so you can see them both. So you can hardly see anything at all there with the soft sea. But it's a beautiful colour, really is lovely. And it is also quite amazing how those two greens go together. I would never ever have thought of doing that. So, and that gives you an idea how they go together. But then look, they've got the greens. Works brilliantly. Right, so what I'm going to do now is die cut that. Yeah, I'll die cut that with you. And that. And we can do the best bit. So let me just get my big shot up. Right, so the little flower, excuse me, is this one. Oops. I'm sure you've heard me say before, if you find your dies are jumping, take the paper to catch up with the dies. Don't try and make the dies come back. They're going after the magnets that are in the mat, so, and they're going to win the battle, so you might as well give in. Okay, and then this one. I'm not sure that I will actually use this because it's got that little line in it and there's nothing I'm going to be able to do to cover that up. But we'll see. So just crank these through. I'm going to... Am I going to need this bird? You can see I've got two over there. I'm definitely going to need this. I think one of the birds that I've got there already, I think I cut his beak off. So hopefully I can use the one that I've just done. Right, okay. Oh, I should have at least... Yeah, I need to at least do the scoring on that. So let me just move this forward, out of the way, and I'm going to bring my scoreboard up, if I can find it. Right, so what you need is to put your cardstock in landscape, and that means the 6 3/4 inch side to go along there. And to score, you need to score at 2 3/4 inches and 4 inches, which is 7 centimetres and 10.1 centimetres. So inches, that's 2 3/4 and 4 inches. Now with a pencil, make a little mark. Now this is purely and simply to help you make sure that you get your die in the centre. If you're confident that you can just eyeball it and be alright, then don't worry about this. But if you're like me, challenged when it comes to straight lines and things like that, you find this is helpful. What you need to do is to make a pencil mark at the 3 3/8 mark, okay, which is 8.55 centimetres. And then if you turn it 180 degrees and do that again, 3 3/8 inches or 8.55 centimetres. Okay, so that's all you need your scoreboard for. And I am going to use my ruler, a long ruler, and I am going to join those two little lines up. And I am just lining this up on my grid paper to make sure that this is nice and straight. The thing is, where you've drawn your pencil mark, you have gone into a little groove which you could have gone to the left or the right. So just to make sure. If this isn't perfectly straight, it's not going to ruin your work. You just want to try and make it as straight as possible. Which is why I say if you're happy to eyeball it, you go for it. Okay, so that's my line. The next thing is with the die, which is this one, and this is number 8. What I've done is, I don't know if you can see, but I've drawn two little straight lines on there with the pencil. Yep, opposite each other. Can't see them both at the same time, I don't think. So what's going to happen is you're going to be able to put your die on top there put those two lines to line up with this, and you know you're in the centre. All you've got to worry about is have you got the same distance there as there, and if you haven't, that doesn't matter. So what I did here, how far down can you see? Right, okay. I don't know if I can push this forward, can I? I wonder if I can take you up a little bit. Don't press the wrong button. Oh, there we go. Yep. So you can see here now. I think. Yep. Right. Number 8 is the centre line, and I know that 1.5 and 1.5 on either side. The edges is going to come over that slightly. Okay, so what you need to do is, imagine I'm not looking at my lines, alright, so I've twisted them out of the way. So what I would do is I would put my die on there and see where this comes out to, and then just following it down, it's just over the 9.5 mark. That's right. Now this one should be coming just over the 6.5 inch mark. Under, sorry. Yes, it is. So all I need to do now is make sure that that gap that I can see in that column is about the same as that column there, which it isn't, so I'm going to just move that over. That looks about the same, and now I can draw my line. One there and one there. Okay, doesn't matter that I've got 2 sets, at least I will be able to tell which is which. Now the fun bit, this technique is actually called not split, partial die cutting. What you need to do is put your cardstock on your cutting mat so that your dies, your score lines are going side to side, and you're going to cut up to the one that's furthest away from you. So if we put this on here, line up your 2 lines. Right, so I know that's straight. In fact, let me get that dipped down. That's better. It might spin, but at least it's got better contact with the plate underneath, the magnetic plate. Right, so all I got to do now is to have a look that that gap is about the same as that, which it isn't, and I noticed that my die jumped a bit there. Right, so that looks about the same, that looks about the same. The easiest way I found to do this, rather than trying to cut this one, it's easier to do that one, and I think because your plate is held into place. So if you slide that through without letting it touch your work, and then when you reach your score line, let your mat go down, hold it there, don't let anything move, and then you're going to crank this through, and the machine will only cut as far as the end of your mat. Okay? Now don't move anything, just push that back through to yourself, pick it up and turn it around and put it back in again. Now you're going to do exactly the same again. You're going to line up to that second score line, the one that's furthest away from you. You've already cut this side, now you've got to cut that side. Again, you're going to slide your cutting mat in there. You're going to lay it down on top of your score line. Hold it in place, don't let anything move, and then crank that through. Right, that's it. Now we should have finished with our big shot, so let me just get that out of the way. Right, okay, so you've got your half cut that side, half cut that side. First things first, let's remove that pencil mark. We don't need that. did think I'd seen a... Yes, I did. Saw a pencil mark up there as well. Yep, that's good. Right, now, before we carry on, one thing I do really recommend you do, and that is to make sure that your cut lines do go up as far as the dent in your score line. If it goes a bit over, don't worry about that. If it doesn't go far enough, then do give it a little snip with your scissors, okay? All of mine have gone just about over that score line. I'll bring it up so that you can see what I mean. You know, if you do like that, you might think, oh my goodness, I've gone too far. Well, yes, you have. I have. But it doesn't matter. It's much better to do that than not go far enough. I've done it where I haven't gone far enough, and what happens is your paper splits when you fold this over. So, you know, you don't want that. It's much better to have it gone a little bit too far rather than not far enough. If you can do it spot on, then that's even better. Right, so I am going to do my layers because we can start building our card now. So I'm going to put those together, those together. I'm just using Tombow for everything now. Right. I was very pleasantly surprised when I did the, what was it, Flamingo, Flirty Flamingo card, the pinky one, because I wasn't sure, because it was such a light, all the colours are so pale, I wasn't sure that black stamping was going to go with it, but it didn't seem to make any difference at all. It was still looking, I was still pleased with it anyway. I am thinking that now that we've got our stamping blends and you need to use Memento to stamp so you can do the colouring with the blends, it would be nice if Stampin' Up came out with more colours than just the black. For example, it would be nice to have a pale, a grey. I don't know about a pale grey, but a grey. I know that Memento you can get in London Fog, which is a lovely grey colour. So I might sandbox that idea. We have something on our demo website where when we have ideas of things that we would like, if we let Stampin' Up know, if there's enough people who ask for it, then they give it serious consideration about doing it. I don't think they would object really, because last year we had the basic grey in the archival ink. So, you know, they appreciate that grey ink for stamping sometimes is a good idea. Right, there we go. So these, I consider the right side to be the side that the die has created the impression round the edge of the circle. That's not going to be covered up. I did consider doing circles, making a frame using that die, but decided it would start getting too fussy, and I think there's enough going on to detract from that. I don't think it's unattractive. But if you do, that's an idea for you. In fact, you wouldn't have to do the scalloped. Oh no, because you don't have a big enough die to do it. Yes, you do, because we didn't use the biggest die, did we? What number did we use? Number 8. Is there not a 9th one with this? Oh no, there's not. So, yeah, alright. Ignore. So this just pops into the corner there. Just leave a little edge all round. And then this one. I hope you saw that during the week Stampin' Up! Released another 3 gifts for celebration. There's a embossing folder, a dynamic flowery one. There's a stamp set, I think it's called Adorned Blessing or something. And then there is also a stamp set with coordinating designer series paper, which is a level 2 gift, which is absolutely gorgeous. Right, now with these two, decide which one you want as your front one, and decide which you are going to have. That's not going to bend yet, is it? Decide which one you're going to have as your front. I mean, to me, that is the front, and that's the card open, because that's where the sentiment is. Okay, so that is like my front one. One's going to have a circle on it, one's going to have a bird. So I don't mind really on mine. I don't think it's going to make any difference at all. But you may find that the position of your pattern is such that you think, oh no, 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 cover that up, cover that up. But I'm quite happy whichever way mine goes. Anyway, get back. With the celebration, the gifts are available until 31st of March or while stocks last. But also there's going to be a special promotion in March where you'll be able to buy the dies that coordinate with that set, which I think is an absolute fabulous idea. And they will be bringing out another 4 sets of dies, another 3 sets of dies that you can buy that will go with the stamp sets that have already been on offer, like the frog, they'll have dies, the cupcake one, that'll have dies, and my memory is letting me down now. What was the other one? Was it? Oh, the Lasting Lily as well. So that would be fabulous. Right, what we need to do now with this, okay, this is the top of mine. So I am going to fold this one back. Okay, so if I tip it over, and it's only the square bit that you're folding, don't fold the circle. So make sure you're lining up straight both sides. And then ideally you need a bone folder. Oh, there we go. Okay, and then just give that a good burnish there. And that one there. Okay, so that's how your card is going to be opening. So this one needs to be folded this way. Okay, so fold that over, make sure it's nice and straight, and then give that a good burnish as well. Okay, so there's your card. Isn't it gorgeous? I think it's absolutely brilliant. I don't know who ever thought of this idea. The one video that I did watch had been made in 2011, and that one had been called a flip-flop card. But I can't call it flip-flop because flip-flops are shoes. Right, now I am going to adhere my embellishments. Now that one I've got to put dimensionals on. Right, that's the one that we did. So yeah, I'm going to use that. Don't know if you can see, but I cut his beak off. There's no white on the end of it because I straightened it up. So as I've got a choice of a good one, that's what I'm going to use. Right, I'm using dimensionals. And I have to say on this, I do use a good selection of the big ones and the little ones. Now the bird that's going to go there is going to be adhered all over. You know what I've forgotten to do? I've forgotten the sentiment. There's no sentiment to go on here. Oh, I think that's a first, isn't it? Let's hope it's the last as well. Right, let's do that. Where's that should be big enough, I think. And the die that I'm using for it is the Stitched Shapes, and this is number 2. Yep, that's big enough to fit in there. The sentiment and the ink. Here we go. There we go, that's lovely. Life is so much better with you in it. Let's move that, let's get the big shot back again. I didn't bring you back in again, did I? I think that's about right. Because I'm going to put the bird on top of this sentiment, I'm putting the die as high as I can without cutting any bits off. Oops! There we go, that's that. Right, on this one I just put 4 dimensionals, north, south, east and west. Right, I was saying about the bird, wasn't I? Which is what reminded me. Because the bird goes over, it rests onto this sentiment. He doesn't need to have dimensionals all over the place like the other bird does. Right, so I'm just going to put that in the centre towards the bottom, hopefully straight. Yep, that's about right. And I'm going to use my dark Stampin' blend and just colour that flower in. Just gives it a little bit of colour there. Okay. And that's the only bit of bling I put on here as well. Where's my paper piercer? And just pop that on the bottom there. That's it. Right. Did I decide I needed one for the head? The thing is, you can't allow the bird to come up so that he's sticking over the top. Right, he needs one for the tail. And for the tail, I always cut one of these in half. Right, and I think he's okay for small dimensionals. Just give him one more. I do wish I listened to myself. Right, let's take that one off. I don't need them all over the place. Right, well, I need that one. That's alright. If you slide your bird up to the sentiment to find out whether it fits or not, it's a good idea to do it with the backing still onto your dimensionals. Yeah, I've got mine stuck before. Right, there we go. Okay, so he's okay. Now I'm going to put this one on, so I keep that way. I bring him as far forward as possible. His tail does go on the inside. So that's how your card is when it's open, and then it goes like that to show the sentiment. Alright, so now we've got that file, we can do all these other bits. Okay, so this is what I'd already coloured. Now when you're putting this on, just make sure that you're not coming over here, which is the fold, and you're not interfering with this. Okay? It doesn't matter if you come over a little bit there, you've got a tad of an area to play with there. Right, now these, let me just copy which way I had them. Right, there's one like that. That one was more upright. And this one is the one that I did with you. So it doesn't have anything on it yet. So we'll have 1, 2, let's see if that'll be okay. Right, that's fine. You might think that I overdo dimensionals, but I always feel that after all the work that you've put into making your card, it's a shame to spoil it for the sake of a couple of dimensionals. I mean, they're not terribly expensive. So, there we go, that's that. So I think, have I finished? Oh no, the other 2 panels that I gave you was to stick on the back. As I say, I'm still out on that. In fact, what I might do, if I stick them on but choose a darker colour for the pattern there. Let me do that. In fact, I'm going to have to do that off here first, aren't I, the pattern. Now the pattern that I use is this little stamp, which is from Hold On to Hope. It's that little one there. I've used it on so many cards. I have to confess, I have cut the stamp. I have trimmed rubber off of it. But it works a treat now. So do I want to have black on it? Yeah, I could have black, couldn't I? Let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. I just think it looks better than not having anything there. I'm not quite sure that green is right, black is right. Maybe green would have been a better idea. No, that's okay. Maybe I should have done Mossy Meadow because that's the dark green that goes with that, but I'm quite happy with the black because there's black on the bird. I did a black stamp on a card that I made the other day and it looked absolutely awful because there was no black anywhere else. In fact, I think it was the Valentine card I did for hubby. So I cut another heart and adhered that over the top of it. Very few things, mistakes that we can't cover up. I think if I still don't like this, what I would do is I'd probably find fancy shapes to die cut. Although I do like this pattern, I have to say. In fact, I think it looks quite oriental, don't you? go. So that is today's card. I hope you like it, and I really hope you give it a try. As I say, the technique is called partial die cutting, and you can do this with any shape that you have, and I will just show what I mean. As I was experimenting with this, first of all I tried the largest die that I could find, and it was this stitched rectangle. That's the biggest one. Let's do it around this way. As you can see, all my measurements down here. I didn't progress with that because I finished up with a funny size, which would have meant thinking about an envelope, because that would have been 5 1/4 by 5 3/4. So no, scrap that idea. Then I went on to this one, which was using the doily builder, which I like that idea, but I'm not totally convinced that this is symmetrical. Part of it, I'm sure, is me not adhering it on there correctly, but just looking at it, some of these sides are more narrow than others. You see that? That one's quite wide there. You come to that one that's quite narrow. So, I don't know, I gave up on that one anyway. And then my first one that started to go right was this one, and that was it. I was off. If you decide that you want to have a go at making these and using other shapes, a little tip for you. While you're actually in the process of working out sizes and what have you, and you don't actually have this to measure to see what the width is, if you remember that if you take that minus that plus that, that's going to be your width of your card. Okay, so it's that minus that bit and then plus that bit. That minus that plus that, and it will give you, I mean, to prove that, that was what, 4 2 3/4, and then you minus that bit. I'll write that down in the box below the video with everything else, because that's just under 4 1/4, so that goes into our envelope really nicely. So that's it. Many thanks for joining me today. Let me just show you the other cards before I go. There's that one. I'll leave that one open, leave that one closed, and here's my pink one. There we go. So if you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the box below the video, and you'll find the box if you're watching the video on YouTube. And I'm always happy to help you, and I do like to read your feedback. If you've enjoyed my video and you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new one, please click on the subscribe button, which is down in the right hand corner, and then there'll be a bell that you need to tick so that you get the actual notifications. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, there'll be a link to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop in the box below as well. So many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.